Yeah. Hometown. Yeah, yo, we kicking it live. Vince and Stevie D, OWSports podcast is the place to be. Bills Mafia, repping the red, white, and blue, no doubt. With Josh Allen, just stand up and shout. Gang green, coming with that New York flair. Jets in the mix, you know they taking it there. The rivalry is fierce, but they keep it 100. Legends in the making, pressure never stunted. From MetLife to Highmark, bright lights when the night's dark. Touchdown, dream, steel beams, leave a big spark. Bills and Jets, we clash on the field, but on this podcast, we keep it sealed. Respect for the game, we all in the zone. Vince and Stevie D, we holding our own. So tune in tight, don't miss a beat. OW Sports, where the real ones meet. Sit back.
It's OW Sports, the fastest growing podcast about the Buffalo Bills and New York Jets. You get the best takes, the most engaging interviews, and they are always keeping it real. So sit back, relax, and get ready to talk some NFL. Now here's your hosts, Vince and Stevie D.
And welcome back to another edition of Official Word Sports. I'm Vince. I'm here with my co-host, Stevie D. All right, Stevie D. Yesterday was our normal scheduling day, our normal podcast day. But unfortunately,
life happens.
It does, right? And so we had to postpone and go to today. So we apologize to everybody out there, but we're glad you're with us today. There's a lot happening in the NFL. I guess it's a sad one. It's a sad one. And I don't think anybody is ever prepared, or, especially when it comes to the media, I don't think the media is ever really prepared when they hear reports of a tragedy. And I'm talking about that of Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was arrested in Dubai, Stevie D. What do you think about that one?
Just take your medication, buddy. All right? It all could have been, you could have had a happy ending if you would just take your medication. But it's actually very sad at the end of the day. It's very sad. What was once beaming Hall of Fame career, budding towards the Hall of Fame, just crash landed. And now it's an attempted murder charge and gets extradited to the U.S. from Dubai.
So I'm not sure if you saw the video, because this actually took place several months ago, right? And it popped up, and you're like, what? Right? Hey, just things you don't expect to see. There's a lot that you can expect to see from Antonio Brown, but murder, that just resonates too loud, right? And then when you see the video of the way everything happened, you're like, ooh, yeah, you're pretty guilty. And they did some investigating, and next thing you know, there was a warrant for his arrest, and then it just died down. And it hit today that they found him. He was extradited back to the U.S. So that's the last, aside from this trial, that's probably going to be the last we hear from Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
They're on a sadder side. There was the tragedy for Marshawn Nealon. He was with the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm still trying to get my arms around everything that really transpired. Again, articles and news reports and what's real, what's not. Go ahead.
I think it's mental illness, and when I'll say somewhat undiagnosed, maybe. Or not getting the care, or not being able to stay and see professionals, it's a real thing, and I just think that side of him overtook him, right? The one player to me was an example in the NFL that went undiagnosed for a very long time was Charles Haley, right? Charles Haley, when he was with the 49ers, was all over the place, right? He left. And that really came out in that Dallas Cowboy Netflix special that came out a couple of months ago. When he went over to the Cowboys, they kind of figured it out, and Jerry helped Charles get the help, and then he understood what was going on, why he was having all these anger outbursts. Right? You saw it a little bit with Brandon Marshall and his behavior in the NFL until he figured out what was going on. He was diagnosed as bipolar, and he started getting the help and the medication that were needed to help treat that. And unfortunately, I don't know enough, and I don't want to speak towards this young man because it may not be that, but obviously he had mental illness, and there was some strains there, and obviously he texted his family goodbye, and the girlfriend called the police saying, he's going to do some harm to himself, and it's just a sad situation. A 24-year-old man, just getting to start life, and something like that happen. People want to may focus on the police chase and that stuff that happened. That is just a byproduct of something wrong up here that led to that police chase that ultimately led for him to take his own life in that field. And that's the sad part, is if you focus on the mental health side for this young man.
Yeah, you're right. So there's a couple things in play here from my perspective, right? Please let's not rush to judgment. On CTE. Let's not do that. Let's look at mental health in a bigger picture, right? There's so many programs that either are not out there or that were out there and have been cut, and sometimes it puts the onus and the ownership on the family. Don't just disregard it, right? It can lead to tragic events. This one led to this gentleman taking his own life, but mental health could lead to not only him taking his life, but taking somebody else's life. And now you have two tragedies that are there. It's a serious thing. It really is. And I feel for him. I don't know what was the final straw, right? I don't know. None of us will know, right? And that's another unfortunate thing, is that you don't know now. You can just only assume, and we're making guesses there. But prayers go out to his family, to his girlfriend. It's going to be a tough time. It's not going to go. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to go away quick. So definitely prayers go out there.
And it just goes back to, if you're struggling, call and talk to somebody, right?
100%.
Somebody, because in that moment you make a decision, and that decision is forever. And if you get an opportunity to talk to somebody, there's hotlines, there's friends, there's family that you can call and talk to talk to whatever's on your mind, right? And it's just a sad thing. And like you said, prayers to his family and his girlfriend. And 24 years old, it's hard
Too
to
young. Too young.
Yeah.
To wait. You have. I mean, and the one thing I think about with this, you've worked so hard to get to where you are, right? There's only a very small percentage of people that are actually able to reach that pinnacle, right? And at that age, you just don't know what was on the cusp for him for something or heights even greater, and it's just so young. But yes, I do feel for the girlfriend, I feel for the family, but I really do feel for the girlfriend, because those were the final moments, right? Something she's going to have to bear.
Man, think about her on the phone with the police and trying to describe his mental state, which was unstable at that point in time, which kind of led to it kind of puts that police chase thing in perspective. Obviously, there was something wrong there. She called, right? Gave the police perspective that he was off. He was carrying a gun, like something was off, to give them perspective if they get a hold of him and approach him.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine having that conversation with a police dispatcher unit, right? And now everything that she's going to replay in her head, probably over either 24 hours, 36, 48 hours, like, what did I miss? What could I have done differently? And that's the haunting part of that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. As we segue away from that, we had an interesting week 9. Stevie D, you got to enjoy the spoils of a bye week.
Now I can't call it a winning streak, but I got to enjoy the bye because we won a game. So
call it what it is. You were on a 1-game winning streak. You got to put the feet up, right? Sitting like the fat cat. Life is good. And then we had the Bills-Chiefs game. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But there are some other games. Here's the funny thing, Stevie D. You'll look at the schedule. You'll say, I do not want to watch this game. This is going to be a dud, right? And then there's the on the opposite end, like, oh, this is going to be a great game. And then it just fizzles out, right? The Cincinnati Bengals, they are yes, they are making life very interesting around in the NFL. They have probably they are on pace to be the league's worst defensive team in history. They are on pace. That's how bad it is. You can look at that one of two ways, right? When you play them, either you had a great offensive game, right, or you played the Bengals. For the Bears this week, Caleb Williams, boy, life was good. Did you see the ending to this game?
I did, actually.
Hey, you thought the Bears were done. I know I did. I thought they were left for dead at the end of that game. And Caleb Williams steps up to deliver like the number 1 pick, former Heisman. He is.
Along with some bad tackling.
That's not that important. Pass rush, coverage, tackling. Don't worry about it. That was all Caleb and his painted fingernails coming up under center and just delivering.
But at the end of the day, right, he did deliver, right?
True.
Because at the end of the day, he still had to make multiple throws. And again, the defense aided with some poor tackling. But, you know, that even if they made that tackle right there, they were at least in field goal range at that point in time. You still had time on the clock to maybe run a couple more plays. So that was just a wild last 2 minutes of the game, back and forth with the touchdowns. Nuts. That was nuts.
You know what's another thing that's interesting? What we have seen in the NFL this year, there have been more late. Well, I'm using a baseball term, right? Late inning heroics, but late fourth quarter heroics. We've seen some scores pile up in the fourth quarter over this entire season, right? It started with the Bills-Baltimore game. You know, all of a sudden you come back from an unimaginable deficit, right, late in the game, and then all of a sudden, and we have seen it like week after week after week. You know, the next team's like, hold my beer. Let me show you what we can do, right? Hold my beer, right? And everybody's one-upping each other. And this is another case, right? A little bit of a walk-off, if you will.
Well, and think about this week. I think there were only 2 blowouts. Your game was one of them. And there was one other game that was a blowout. Other than that, everything was so close this weekend. It was a lot of really good scores. So if you like close games where anything can happen towards an end, this was one of those weeks for the most part where it was real close.
Let's pivot a little bit, Stevie D. Are the Lions for real?
I don't know what the Lions are.
I don't either. They are a bit of an enigma. I don't. So first of all, I do believe that the loss of Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. We said it before the season started, and I will say it at the midpoint of the season. That is huge.
And the other coaches that were underneath them that bolted to the Jets or
right.
to the Bears or wherever, right?
That's right. Now they have a lot of talent, so sometimes the talent can mask the coaching, and sometimes the coaching can mask the talent. And when you have those both together in sync, you have those magical seasons. They have talent on that offensive side and on the defensive side. So you're going to have a winning season, but you shouldn't be losing to J.J. McCarthy. He's still a rookie quarterback. No matter how you want to slice it and dice it. Yes, he's a second-year player in the league, but this is still his first year.
Well, and J.J. McCarthy is not shown to be, a stud. All right, it was a sloppy game by the Lions, and is that indicative of who they're going to be the rest of the year? Or was that one of those outlier games where you say, all right, it's a division game? I believe they were. I don't know who was home on that game. I forgot who was home on that game, but again,
the Lions were home.
I mean, that's a tough game. The only thing I'll say is that it was a division game. They know each other pretty good, but the Lions will tell you they have to win that game. You got to win that. You got to win that football game.
Mm-hmm.
And the division got a gift this weekend with the Packers losing. They got a gift. So the Lions didn't lose as much ground as they should have lost in the division. So
yeah, you just brought that one up. How do you go from being blown out to then beating, a team at that point that was 5-1? How does that happen? The Carolina Panthers, another team that I can't really understand, right? It's either you get the best or you get the worst. There's no middle ground for the Carolina Panthers. In this game, especially coming off of the heels of the loss to the Bills the week before, which was an absolute blowout loss at home.
Oh, when I talked about the Bills, I had the wrong week on the blowout. The blowout was Carolina the week before.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so
correct.
When you said that, I was like, oh God, I had the wrong week a few minutes ago in my head.
Yeah, when you said blowout, I was like, that wasn't a bunch of blowout. But the 40-9 against the Panthers is a blowout, and that was on the road. Technically, it was a home game for the Bills with all of the Bills fans there, right? When you're a home team and you have to go on a silent count, never a good thing. Just pointing this out, right? But how do the Panthers go from that to then coming back and beating the Packers?
Yeah, it's turn the page. I always equate, well, how does a team lose a heartbreaker or get blown out in a playoff game in baseball? In the next game, they come back and win. You turn the page, and you're as good as your quarterback is the following week, or whatever that is that you would say in football. Like in baseball, you say you're only as good as your next day starter, right? If your next day starter performs, you got a really good shot. If he craps the bed, well, you're in a bunch of trouble. So, that's why it's you flip the page. But that is a horrible loss. I'm not going to lie. That's a horrible loss for Green Bay at home.
It is. It is. A couple other that I want to hit on, Stevie D. Real quick. Atlanta, you have one job. You just have one job. All right, let's move on. The Colts.
How do you miss the extra point to tie the game?
I'm going to tell you from a Bills fan's perspective, right? We are accustomed to this. When we have to rely on another team to do something, this is the type of thing that you get. You saw what happened last year. All the gifts that the Chiefs got along the way, we needed them to lose one game, right? We beat them. All right, that's great. So now we're only down by one. We need you to lose one game. And you had the blocked field goal. You had the snap on the last play of the game against the Raiders. You had all this stuff, right? The doing that goes in, right? Normally it goes out. We saw that last week. Doing goes out. Nope, not with Kansas City. Doing goes in. So they had all that luck. Again, we need some help, and you missed the extra point. Thank you, Atlanta. Thank you. You didn't miss any extra points when we played you.
What's funny? On the road, they didn't go for the win.
Okay.
And maybe the new overtime rules changed that perspective a little bit, maybe. But on the road, I was surprised they didn't go for the win.
All right, you ready for this one?
Yeah.
Danny Dimes doesn't shine.
Danny Dimes came back to reality a little bit. So we'll see if Danny Dimes can rebound and have
You know,
a long
I
game.
have a question on that. When I look at the Indianapolis Colts and I look at really everything about them as a team this year, they they have been very successful and they've gotten off to a big start. And a lot of times, that's all it takes is to get the momentum going, right? But I look at their wins. You know, they beat the Dolphins, they beat the Broncos, good win,
Yeah.
right? 29-28. You beat the Titans. Again, that's the Titans. You beat the Raiders. It's the Raiders. You beat the Cardinals. It's the Cardinals. You beat the Titans again, and you beat the Chargers. I'll give you that. That's a good win. So I give you two good wins. But when I look at your overall, and I know what you're going to say because we talked about this. I know what you're going to say.
Well, there's two things I was going to say. Definitely, that was the one. I was definitely going to say the first thing that was on your mind, but I have another one that I wanted.
Okay, so let me steal your first one. You can only beat and play the teams that are on your schedule.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough. So if you have to play the Titans and you beat up on the Titans and a rookie quarterback in what did I call it? The cesspool of the NFL, right? If that's the team that you're beating up, yes, good.
But okay, all right. So okay, they blew out the Dolphins. They blew out the Titans. They blew out the Raiders. They blew out the Titans again, and they won by 14 against the Chargers. Oh, as an away game. So you can say the teams that they beat. Like they just didn't win the game. It was like you can call it a mercy. They should call mercy on that, right?
Fair.
So in fairness to them, it's not like they won and they barely won. In fairness to them, I'm trying to be fair in the conversation towards the Colts because I'm not a big Colts guy at all. But in fairness, they put up some points. They put up some points.
That they did.
But I just don't believe in Daniel Jones. Like I'm waiting for the clock to strike midnight, and it all falls apart. And is that the game against the Steelers where it turned against him because Danny Dimes has the flashbacks of when he was with the Giants, right? Because he came out, oh my God, Danny Dimes, he got that nickname really quick, and then it was like, oh, get Danny out of here, right? So and they wanted Tommy DeVito, right? You know what's bad when the fans are calling for Tommy DeVito over you as a quarterback. So I just wonder if
well, you said it. I don't trust him. But I do know this. Daniel Jones is a good quarterback or a serviceable quarterback when he has a good running game.
Yeah, I mean, he's thrown for I'll round it up to 70% completion percentage, 2,400 yards, 14 touches, 6 picks, rating over 100. Like, man, those are really good numbers through 9 games. Really good numbers through 9 games.
It is.
I don't. The sample size is smaller because it's a half a season, and I just need to say more. I got to see more. Because I'm going to throw a name out to you.
Okay.
I'm going to go into a little bit of a Wayback Machine. Do you remember Tommy Maddox?
Yes.
Back?
UCLA Tommy Maddox.
Okay. Tommy Maddox came out with all this fanfare. He stunk. And then he was out of football. I think he was selling insurance for like 3 years or something like that. And he gets the call to come back. And he's like, who's this guy? Right? And so those stories can happen. And then he came back down to reality, and then he was out of football again. So, but for Daniel Jones, and I know I'm picking on him, but in fairness, I don't know. I wish that there's the largest sample size. So right now, I don't know. I don't know. And we'll see if he's got a harder part of the schedule, right? How does he handle the schedule, down that stretch as it starts to tighten up, right? You got the Falcons, which you don't know which Falcon team you're going to get. You got the Chiefs, right? You're away at Seattle, at Jacksonville, a home against San Francisco, another game against Jacksonville. If Jacksonville gets their act together, they're such a hot and cold team. So we'll see how he handles that stretch, right? Especially the road game, Kansas City and Seattle on the road. How does he do that? We'll see.
All right, and then as we go back, Stevie D, how do we not talk about this? Why is Jaden Daniels in the game during a blowout?
We talked about this. I've heard a lot of comments on it, and it all comes back to fireable offenses.
Yes,
Right.
100% agree.
You remember last year when the Knicks were out of the playoffs, and I said to you, I don't know if you remember, but I said to you there was, and I'm not a basketball guy, like I don't watch a lot of basketball, but I was watching that, and I thought there was two fireable offenses for Tom Thibodeau by not using his challenges on key spots of in the game. One was the goaltending turned out to would have been a 2-point deficit. They didn't get it. They go down and score. It turned out to be a 6-point deficit. I believe that was an overtime game, right? And then there was a one on a 3 that they called as a 2 that maybe he should have challenged that or whatnot, or something along those lines. Or the ball went out of bounds. He should have challenged it, and then they came down and hit a 3 and kind of blew that game open. And I look at and I joked around with it, but I was somewhat serious. Like, how do you not do that in the playoffs? How do you let your challenges just kind of like, all right, I'll give them back to you. I'll save them for the next rainy day, right? And I look at this with Dan Quinn, and I'm like, 38-7. What are you doing? And I bet you RG3 was sitting at home watching that watching that game, saying, another Washington coach doing something stupid. Right, and it's stupid. And look, I don't care. People want to say, well, you get paid to play the game. Yeah, you get paid to play the game. But you know what? There's also an opportunity where you can get those guys out, whether you're up big or down big, and get some of your depth players some reps.
Well, you're supposed to get paid to play the next week, which he won't, or the week after, which he won't, because of. And Dan Quinn came back and said, that's on me. All right, you're going to take ownership of it. We all saw it. We knew. The question was being asked. And as a matter of fact, he said that the plan was to remove his starters, and he just left them in there an extra series. It's bad coaching. It boils down to bad coaching. To your point, a fireable offense. You have now lost your franchise. You're going with Marcus Mariota. I think we already know how the pecking order. Right, the Giants have a good shot to go into third now because you don't have to worry about the Commanders, and it's just going to be the Eagles, Cowboys, or maybe flip flop. You never know what Jackson Dart's going to do there, but the Commanders are going to fall at the bottom. It's bad. It is a bad move, bad coaching move.
And it's like it looks like he's going to escape a major injury where it's dislocated elbow. But it's like I struggled with his answer. I really struggled with his answer that he gave at the podium. And as a head coach, and as an owner, I should say, I'm puzzled at my coach. And I would summon the coach to my office and explain why I have my franchise guy that I'm going to have to pay in the next year or two $55 million a year, $60 million, $65 million a year, and you're leaving him out there in the 38-7 game and it means nothing at that point in time. What am I paying you for? You're supposed to have those answers in the game. And that's just stupid. Stupid by the offensive coordinator, right? The running back coach, the wide receiver coach, the O-line coach, the quarterback coach, right? The offensive, everybody, the defensive, somebody should have been saying in the headset, hey, coach, I think we should get those guys out. What do you think? Oh, my God, I had a brain cramp. Absolutely. Yeah, we should get them out. Let's get them out. No, nobody speaks up. So you know how we talk about points of failure, right? There are so many points of failure. I know the buck always starts with the head coach, and it should. But where are all my lieutenants around me to wake me up with it? And I, again, just bad all around. Bad all around.
All right, so Stevie D, as that kind of puts an exclamation on week 9, and again, the Jets just sitting back, relaxing, eating bonbons, just living life. We'll say. Then we flip the page, we go to week 10. And as we do that, Stevie D, let me just from a personal, this is
I
personal.
don't like where this is going at all.
Let me just show you something.
Okay. Audio platform. That can you put that back up there? Because I want to describe it for our listeners.
I know we can't look at it anymore. You'll just have to appreciate it on the other side, Stevie D. Wait, I just can't. I can't. It hurts. It hurts, Stevie D. And here's why it hurts: is that it hurts. It really hurts. I'm trying to. I've been waiting for this moment to really get it out. I'm trying to understand. Let me use an analogy, right? If you are a gambler, right, and you know that your time is running out at the table, and you have a good hand, you got a chance to do it. You put all your chips in the middle. You do whatever it takes. The Josh Allen era, I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying it's ending. I'm not saying that. But what we know today, as far as with the Buffalo Bills, we know some things are coming to an end. It is Brandon Beane's tenure that's coming to an end. It could be Sean McDermott's tenure that's coming to an end. But you would think that you would put it all into the middle. You got Josh, you got Cook, who's having a good season. You got Max Hairston, who's starting to shine. You got all these things. And you sit there at the trade deadline, and I'm wondering if that was the same as the Minnesota Vikings on draft day, where they fell asleep. I'm wondering if maybe he was drugged. Maybe, conspiracy theory. Maybe, now that I think about this, I got one for you, Stevie D. I got one. Maybe somebody slipped that like a little Mickey. Maybe a team from Florham Park. They said, hey, we don't want to have all the excitement, and we want to make sure Brandon Beane doesn't jump in on our parade. Maybe that's why he fell asleep, because Brandon Beane didn't do anything. Stevie D, the day before, he redid Taron Johnson's contract to free up some money so that you could wheel and deal. And you come back to me on Wednesday and you say, it's hard to make a trade. No kidding. But it's not that hard to make a trade when you want to and when you have to. I don't want to hear the excuses. You have multiple first round picks. This next year, the year after, the year after, you have second round picks. Next year, the year after, the year after. You have players that are coveted. You even signed a player last year that was coveted by the Patriots this year when he was a free agent. You have players that other teams in the league would take. You have players that you could have gotten kind of offset some language in a contract to kind of balance it out. You could have done something. There's a guy in Philadelphia who we laugh and joke about all the time, especially with Jay. Jay is original podcast member, right? And we go back and forth with Jay. But at the end of the day, I don't want to play Howie GM because in my mind, I just think it's too much fantasy football there. But what I respect is that he will go out and make the deal. You have to wonder, how do you stay under the cap when you sign all these big guys? You trade for all these big guys. You sign all your own people. There's only so much money. You don't have a different cap than what I have, but you make it work. You are very creative within that cap structure. And when it comes down to making a deal, you go out and make a deal. You just traded for Phillips from Miami. So I don't want to hear the excuse, Brandon Beam, that, well, we couldn't find it. We had some things on the table. No, my friend. You didn't try hard enough. You got scared. You stood pat. It's a problem I have. And that's why our guy was just sitting there as a Buffalo Bill fan scratching his head like, we're so close. We're on the precipice, but we need some help.
Because what's interesting is you lost your hybrid linebacker, Hoyt.
Michael Hoyt.
You just lost him 2 days prior, right? So you got a hole there that you got to fill, right? You have other injuries and spots where you need to fill, and it is kind of strange that you didn't bring in anybody. Look, I know you don't have unlimited resources from a salary cap perspective, but there was deals to be had out there. Like you were saying, there's ways to move money around to make it happen. And you said it on this show, I don't know, 12 times. It's all set up for you this year, right? Your schedule was favorable for you with your home games. Just how things were aligning with the stars. You're like, holy cow, like, is this the NFL scripted? It really shifting things toward the Buffalo Bills. And yet your GM stands pat at the most critical time of the year and doesn't do anything to help the troops.
So we did watch, and before I move on, Bills fans, just remember, brighter days are ahead. It's the only thing. Let's get a hug. Let's have a little kumbaya circle, right? I still want something, and I'll give you a funny story. I was listening to a guy talking about Bean not making a move, and he's like, "Well, what else can we do? In baseball, you're able to trade after the trade deadline. Is there? I'm with you, bro. I am with you. Look for any loophole possible." All right. Well, as Brandon Bean was sleeping, or again, maybe he was drugged and that's why he was sleeping. We don't know exactly what happened. Over at Florham Park, they took some kerosene, they took a match, and they just lit that thing up on fire. They said, "Okay, we're clearing out," and they went to town. They went
like the Godfather.
Oh man! And Joey even put on there. So the Jets had a fire sale. You are correct. And Stevie D, you can speak to this, and this is really towards you, Stevie D. I don't think it's a win now mode, but I think it's a win tomorrow or the next day.
Look, I don't think any coach or GM is going to tell you that they're punting and we're going to lose games. It's not a good business model. It's not good for the team. It's not good for the league, right, Joey? So for him to say that, what else is he going to say? It's not going to happen. If you're looking out for an answer, it's like I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn, right? Because teams just don't admit that they're not there to win. But what it goes to show is that collection of talent is a bit overrated. That everybody said they had is a bit overrated. So you had the first trade that went down, which shocked me because I didn't see that on the radar. Did not see that one coming at all.
I don't think anybody did.
No. And Sauce had a phenomenal rookie year. But if you looked at it, it just seemed like it went down a little bit each year where he just wasn't as good as it was in his rookie year. And for folks, like I got into it on Facebook with some guy, and if you're not watching the Jets every game, you don't know because you don't watch the games. You don't watch the film. You don't watch the replays. If you're just going off a PFF ranking, or a ranking that some website gives a player, what does that ranking really mean? Is it a guy sitting in the closet? Hey, Joe, yeah, all right, we're going to give this guy a rank in this game. This is what I saw, okay? There's no standardization, right? There's no rules. If you look up, I really implore people, and I'm going to digress here for a second with PFF, because you and I, we had a subscription. And what do we say? Like, these rankings are not coming up to the smell test to what we're seeing. I can speak to it for my own players because I watch every game, and I'm like, how did you get that ranking? Like, what? So when you peel back the onion and you get to PFF's website, there is no standardization. It's the guy that's watching the game, how he feels, how he wants to score that particular game.
But they even admit to that.
Yes, correct. It's all on the website.
They admit to that.
Right. And so when you watch Sunday Night Football and they talk about the PFF ranking, you're ranked 8th out of 92 per PFF. I laugh at that because you really have to understand what PFF is and how they get to their scores. It's a joke, people. Okay? And you have the greatest line. The sniff test. Right? When we talk about the Hall of Fame. If you're a Hall of Famer, there's a sniff test. And when you look at some of the rankings and how they do it, it's like, come on. These are a little jaded, right? And I'm not dogging Sauce because I still think he's a very good corner in the league. A very good corner. There's some skills that he's got that are really good, and there's areas that he's got to improve. Just like any great player, there's no perfect player unless Lawrence Taylor's talking about Lawrence Taylor. He'll say, he's the greatest, player of all time. But the trade itself was a really great value for the Jets. When you get a 26 number one, a 27 number one, and then you got Adonde Mitchell, their second round wide receiver from 2024 that's under team control for 2.5 more years there. So just extreme value there in that first trade. Just shocked everybody that you just signed the guy to a long-term extension. And it's like any team will tell you, we'll listen to a phone call, and if you're going to knock our socks off, well, man, we really got something to think about. And they did. And the Jets have to eat $19.98 million between the end of this year and next year on that trade. Now, what does that do to the salary cap for 26? We actually gain $1.5 million in our salary cap with that trade. Even though there's money, we actually gain. So it's not detrimental to our salary cap, but it's something that needs to be called out. It did cost the Jets a little under $20 million, but overall in the salary cap for next year, we actually gained. So that was the first blockbuster trade. Oh, we weren't done just yet.
Oh, no.
Now, this trade did not shock me of the trade of Quinn Williams. Quinn Williams, for the last few years, has been unhappy with the Jets and the organization in the direction. He was unhappy that they got rid of Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, he doesn't like the losing. His play has been up and down, and I think,
He wasn't for them getting rid of Rodgers? I didn't know that.
He wanted Rodgers. He was pissed that they moved on from Aaron Rodgers. He felt that we could run that back with Aaron with the him coming back from that injury another year. And yeah, he was not happy at all. And went to social media with it a little bit, and so he was disgruntled. The Jets admitted that he was not happy with the Jets. He didn't. They asked him if he asked to be traded. Mougey dodged the question, saying, "I'm not going to answer that." So that kind of probably tells you privately he asked to be traded. But then the Dallas Cowboys coming, and the gift that keeps on giving is Jerry Jones. I mean, he is just a gift that keeps on giving. I mean, Jerry the GM, and I love Quinnen Williams. Love Quinnen Williams. The Dallas Cowboys got a great person and a good football player. He's not a great football. Not this year. He's not been great. Again, the up and downs. There's games where you never hear his name being called. He's got 1 sack, 3 QB pressures, and we're 1-7. So 8 games, 1 sack, 3. You get a first rounder in 2027, which they have 2. So whichever one is the highest pick, we get. Smart by Mougey. We get a 2026 second rounder. And then we get Mazi Smith, the defensive tackle. That was a first round pick from the Cowboys, which obviously he's not playing. Or if he was a stud, they probably wouldn't have traded him. But we got Mazi Smith in that trade. Another ridiculous great trade. And when I mind you, Quinnen Williams is 28 years old, in his 7th season, making $28 million a year. We get out from underneath that contract. And I look at our salary cap now in 27, we've now added even more salary cap space in 2027. And it's not a killer to that. Another phenomenal trade by Mougey. But here's what I'll say. I want to pat you on the back. I really do, Mougey. I do. But it's Jerry Jones, and he does some crazy, wacky things that it's easy to take advantage. You know, he's older. He's a little senile. Stephen Jones, I don't know where you were to help your father to say, Dad, this is way too much to give up for Quinnen Williams, but we'll take that. So
maybe we should go and protest this trade, saying that it was elder abuse. Maybe that's what we need to do. I mean, no, I don't begrudge you.
Yeah,
I don't begrudge.
And we had one more trade. We had one more trade. Zaire Taylor with a 2028 for a 2028 conditional 7th round pick.
Sorry about that. No, I want you to say again. That was just the alarm clock waking up Brandon Bean. So if you heard that, Stevie D was just saying, Jerry was just opening the door saying, come on in. Come on in. Go ahead, Stevie D.
Yeah, and the last trade was with the Chargers. We got Zaire Taylor for a 2028 7th round conditional pick. And so the Jets got graded an A, and then a B on that trade with the Chargers. We saved some money. Again, talent went out the door. Players that were beloved by the fans. But at the end of the day, you have to look at your team at 1-7 and say, what really are you? You're 1-7, and we probably need to kind of blow this thing up a little bit and get rid of some players where we can get some really good value. They got the value and they moved on. And honestly, they benched Quincy Williams this week, the linebacker, the all-pro linebacker, saying that he's underperformed since training camp. They pulled John Simpson out of the game for penalties. They sat Sherwood, the linebacker, Jamie and Sherwood, the linebacker, for something that didn't go public. Our penalties are getting more under control. Look, there's fans that can't stand Aaron Glenn. You have to stop just looking at the record. You have to look at the changes that he's making, okay? Not every coach comes in and can turn a franchise around like that. It doesn't happen. Bill Parcells took him 3 years, right? He thought he was getting fired after his first 2 years. It takes time to make change in the NFL, and he's starting to make his changes. And you're starting to see some of the younger kids. Kiko, the linebacker from Miami, he started in place for Sherwood. He's going to replace Quincy Williams. He's been really coming on as a rookie linebacker. You've seen Malachi Moore overtake Tony Adams. better scheme fit. Malachi Moore's got to make some improvements with his tackling. But again, you see the changes that he's making. A.Z. Thomas is now going to step in and have more of a role, the rookie from FSU, right, that has come in, and he's going to get more playing time. You just look, we are a bad franchise. We haven't made the playoffs. You got to let this thing cook, right? You got to let, I don't want to say the word. You just got to let it, you got to let the man do what he needs to do. There's a lot of bad on this team that has to be shaken out. And this roster is going to be really changing in the offseason. It's not good when you change head coaches. You can't blow this thing up again. Aaron Glenn hasn't done that type of job where he deserves to be fired after 1 year. I'm sorry, Jet fans that don't agree, right? I don't agree with that assessment that he should be fired.
You know, that's something that we've talked about. I mean, we have both the Jets and the Bills have lived that life cycle of just churning and burning through coaches. And, you know, I often talk about the trust the process, right? In my opinion, trust the process was you have to give it a few years before you go back to what you're doing of firing coaches. And the same really holds true. I don't like where the other side of that, right? But the same holds true for trust the process of Aaron Glenn, right? They have an idea. He has a vision. But that roster does not equal where my vision is, right? And he put players on notice by benching them, right? By pulling them out of games, and then by sending the big names out. And again, I keep going back to you on Marcel Darius, same situation, right? All Bills fans are like, what are you doing with Marcel Darius? Well, now Jet fans are saying, what happened with Sauce? What happened to Williams, right? But you have to, dare I say it, Stevie D, Jet fans, you have to trust the process. Allow them to do what they do.
Because Lord knows we didn't do it last year. We didn't do it the year before and the year before with all those same guys, right? We're in year 4 for a lot of these guys, and if not longer. We haven't done anything. It's not working. Do we have stubborn players? Do we have players that play for themselves, for the name on the back and not the name on the front? Whatever it is, it wasn't working at one Jets drive. And so change has to happen. And look, sometimes change gets people to stand up straight. And like, this guy's not fooling around. I don't want to get cut. I don't want to lose my money. Because now try good luck trying to get that contract somewhere else with the same money you were making. Because now you could be maybe like, well, shit, you couldn't make it with the Jets and they were horrible. What are you going to do for me? Right? Who knows what some of the GMs are thinking, right?
So question for you. Were you surprised that Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, that's the core of all those first rounders that you had. Were you surprised that they were not moved?
So Breece Hall was a little surprised. Kansas City came calling. They offered a 4. Jets wanted a 3. Chiefs were not willing to go to a 3. The Jets ended that call.
Talking about way
So
to
we
go.
had your back. We had your back on that.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah. So I think if we would have had a 3rd, he would have been gone, but they wouldn't come to a 3.
And we'd have a whole different conversation over here.
Right.
Whole different conversation.
So, from that perspective, I was shocked Breece didn't get traded. Garrett, I wasn't as shocked because, again, that's a lot of money a team's got to take on, right? And do teams really want to be willing to take on that? And I love Garrett Wilson. I do. There's things in his game that he's got a fumbling problem in critical times. Sometimes he drops that ball into some critical times. Yeah, he's cost the Jets some games with fumbles late in games in the fourth quarter. So there's again, would that stop somebody for trading from him? I mean, he's an elite talent. There's no doubt about it. We paid him. I'm glad we kept him because if we're going to go with a young quarterback, I like to make sure that young quarterback has somebody that they can trust for sure to get him the ball. But I was a little surprised, but again, because you traded Sauce, anything was on the table at that point. When Sauce was gone, I'm like, holy cow, anybody could go. So, yeah,
it definitely seemed like a fire sale, as we put it. But it really does set you up. Now, the biggest thing, you're halfway there. and it could go left or it could go right.
In fairness to the Jets, in recent years, their first round picks they haven't really missed, except for Zach Wilson. And again, could Zach Wilson would have been different with different coaching?
Different administration, though.
True, but yes, but what we I liked our draft last year with Mougey and Aaron Glenn, with the addition of Membu, Az Thomas, Malachi Moore. These are guys that are Kiko, right? These are guys that are contributing as rookies. So I'm okay. I'm okay.
I will tell you this. I agree with you from a salary perspective on Wilson. Didn't Wilson play with Fields at Ohio State?
Yeah.
Didn't they play together? I'm curious if that has anything to do with it. I'm also surprised with it as far as him not being moved. Trying to get you got the salary, but maybe for continuity's sake, right? Going into next year, maybe the quarterback is not on the horizon next year, but the year after, Arch Manning. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
But the Breece Hall move or not move, because his contract is up this year, correct?
I'm glad we're cycling back on Breece. Okay.
So do you pick up the option?
There's no option. You can either tag him or he's gone. Like there's nothing there. You either tag him or he's gone. So my whole thing is if you have no plans on tagging him or keeping him to a long-term deal, you had to trade him even if it was for a fourth rounder. You can't let him walk out the building for nothing.
Yes.
So, maybe they re-sign him. And again, it's common sense to me. If you don't trade him, then there's plans to keep him. Now, look, we're thin at the running back position. There's no lie there. We are thin at the running back position. If we traded Breece Hall, we were in a whole bunch of trouble. But again,
whole bunch of trouble for what?
Right, because you're 1-7. What's the difference? Next man up. Bring up the guy from the practice squad. Let's go, right? And go play out the string of games and you fall between picks 1 and 3 in the draft. I was shocked that Breece didn't get traded. Here's the other thing what I'll say about Wilson. We talk about value and what you think something is worth, right? It's like when you sell a car. I think it's worth this. The person that wants to buy it says, no, it's only worth this, right? How is Garrett Wilson graded by other GMs? They may say, man, he's nice, but man, I don't know if I want to give up a 1 and then take on all that salary. The Jets are not going to trade him for a 1, right? So we just got 2 1s for Sauce. So, and nobody's going to call for Garrett Wilson. So I just think the value that other GMs have at Wilson is not there. And the Jets weren't willing to part. If you were going to be stupid enough to give us 2 number 1s and a wide receiver in your room back, yeah, we'll make the trade. Or a corner, since we traded Sauce earlier. Bunts to know that we got the corner at the last minute of the deadline from the Chargers. But I just think it's not there for Wilson. I don't think the GM's value him that high.
If you trade him, then all of a sudden this has what we're talking about there. That was draft night. I had to give it to my man Stevie D playing Diamonds and Pearls from the classic Prince song. And so every time we talk about Garrett Wilson, it just flashbacks.
Not for nothing, but I did pick that draft that we were going
Sauce. You did?
Now, I said Drake London, but in fairness to me, Drake London was selected before he got to the Jets. So, and they drafted Garrett Wilson, obviously wide receiver. But, yeah, that was a good night for us. I even said we were trading back into the first round in that draft. And we did. Yep, and we got Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah.
Who the Chiefs wanted in that draft. And we traded back in above the Chiefs to grab Jermaine Johnson.
You hear that, Brandon B? Yeah, a team will trade back and trade up to stop the Chiefs. Just pointing out some facts here, Stevie D. Things that happen that you're like, You remember Arsenio? Things that make you go, Yeah. Brandon B, whatever you're doing or not doing. And then don't give me the excuses. Sorry. See, this is what happens. Then I snap back. I was so calm. I was feeling good yesterday. All right, Stevie D. Let's let's talk about this. I'm going to talk about it from not too long. Matter of fact, why don't we do this? In all fairness, because I don't want to belabor the point. That's for sure, right? But let's get the clock going, and we're almost going to do it like.
I love when my buddy puts me on the spot. I have no idea what's going on.
So what we're actually this is what we're going to set up.
All right.
What do they have? PTI? Isn't that it? PTI.
Yep. Okay.
So we're gonna kind of set it like PTI, and we're only gonna do 5 minutes. Okay, that's all we're gonna do. We're just gonna give this segment 5 minutes, and then we're gonna go into it, and we're gonna talk about the Chiefs game. Okay, I don't think it deserves any more than 5 minutes because it was a regular season game. Okay, here we go. It was a regular season game. Settle down, Buffalo. Okay, you have proven that now. What 5-1 in the regular season, in 0-4 in the postseason. Please understand that. We did see a lot of good things out of there. Saw a lot of good things. One being Michael Hoyt, which now, as you mentioned earlier, Michael Hoyt done for the year. Right. And I did send over the video. The Bills are circulating kind of the PR video where Michael Hoyt, we can get you to the cart. Nope. I want to stay on the bench.
Amazing.
Yep. And then when he's on the bench, he's like, put me down with the defense. Let me go hang out with the defense. I really appreciate that. I can't tell you I appreciate seeing something like that. All the guys coming over, the high fives, all of that. I have a new appreciation for Michael Hoyt because I gave him and Brandon Beane a lot of crap because you're signing a guy that's suspended. But it's that type of mindset that just permeates throughout the locker room. And so even if you're not on the field, so I give him credit with that. I do think that we saw the unveiling of Max Harrison. No more evident than on the go route by Worthy, and he was in his hip pocket stride for stride all the way down the field, right? So now, it goes back to Kansas City, your move, because you came to us and said, hey, we got a guy in the speed that's just going to go right past you, which we gave you. And so now we've countered that with a guy that's going to be in his hip pocket, not to mention he came away with an interception. That was great. I thought Bosa had a really good game. Okay, so I thought that was good. I thought overall the defensive scheming and planning was good, was solid, and that's what we want to see. Offensively, we saw more of Joe Brady in the Joe Brady scheme of things, where it was a lot of underneath and a lot of a heavy run-centric type offense. I will say, stop being so predictable. You run the ball every time on first down until late in the fourth quarter. Every time on first down, you're handing it off to Cook. You have to be a little bit more, have a little bit more ingenuity, right, with your play call, especially for Cook, because once it started to get to late in the second and in the third, Spags started to bring the box down, and they started to anticipate that run on first. Josh had a very efficient week, and I thought that was good. But again, keep in mind, people, when you are throwing less than 5 yards down the field or you are throwing at the line of scrimmage, I would anticipate and expect that you would have a high completion percentage. Now, there were some balls that were thrown down the field. I'm not going to discount that. Hit Kincaid, seemed left and right down the field, as well as hit Knox, on the sideline down the field. Those were all great passes, and it showed that touch, and that's great. I do want to see more, right? Steve Smith came out after going after Keon Coleman. Talk about what Keon is not doing as far as getting open, getting down the field. If Palmer is going to be out and we're relying on Palmer to be our deep threat, somebody else has got to step up. What is this next man up mentality, right? All the teams talk about it. You've talked about it with your Jets. You said if I trade away Brees, then it's the next man up. Well, where's the next man up if Palmer goes down? All right. So again, good job by all the coaches. They were well prepared. They attacked and kept on attacking, and they made it very rough on Patrick Mahomes. That's good. I want Bills fans to be careful if you have access to the All-22 or if you have a recording of the game. Be careful on lauding number 57. Be careful. The play on this side, everybody's talking about, the hit. That was a dumb hit because you know who you're playing, right? This alarm's going to go off, but Stevie D, give me a few minutes on this one because you have to be smart as soon as you walk on the field. We talk about this. What is your football IQ? We talk about that all the time. So you have to know where you are on the field. You ended up hitting Mahomes on the sideline. He was still in play. So it's a legal hit. But know who the player is, know the down and distance, and understand what's going on. Because if you do, and that ref says, that's Patrick, and throws the flag, you complain, they don't hear you. They don't care. That whole play could have been avoided by you giving 100% of yourself on that play. Stevie D, again, this is where I want fans to not just see the end result, but watch the entire thing. So if you have the ability to watch it on anything, any platforms, even YouTube now, watch as 57 runs and he's almost jogging. And then in his mind, he says, I have a chance. So then he speeds up a little bit. And then he goes back to a jog. And then he hits Mahomes on the side. If you run and you're given 100%, there's no need for any question because you would have hit him. And it would have been legal and legit because the ball would have been in his hand. But because you kind of were loafing a little bit, then sped up and then loafing, yes, it looks good that you got the hit. You get the little tick for the quarterback hurry or the quarterback pressure. You get all of that. But you also could have jeopardized what was happening on that drive. The Chiefs feast on those 15-yard penalties. Personal foul, roughing the quarterback, pass interference, all unsportsmanlike conduct, all of those. They feast on that. And you got through it without. So I wanted to share that.
There's a couple comments I want to make about the Bills. Not necessarily. It was kind of retouch on some of the things that you already touched on, but that last point that you made, it's like baseball. When you give a team, that's what it's a Jet fan right there. You never know. You could go on a 9-game winning streak, or you can go on a 9-game losing streak. But here nor there. When you watch a team play, you give a good team an extra out because of an error, right? Good teams punish you for that. And the Chiefs have known if you're going to do something because of your lack of football IQ and they throw the flag, they hurt you. There's no way around it. They hurt you. I don't know how they do it. They find a different gear. The momentum swing changes in 15 minutes, and it could cost you. And it's just, you have to be smart. Just because it wasn't a penalty doesn't make it a great play by number 57.
I appreciate you.
That's the first one. I wanted to go back to Hoyt.
Hold on one second. Just to your point there, fans have to realize it's not always what you see. It's the bigger picture, right? Because all the fans see is you putting Mahomes on the ground. You're like, yes, right? No.
I think most educated fans and I don't want this to do that to other fans because they just may not know. But maybe I used the wrong words, but I'll stick with my words. How many people were watching that play and say, "What are you doing? What are you doing right there?" How many of those fans did that because they know there's certain things you can't do in the league. You can't do that. You can't take that shot. You can't. You can probably take that shot in the first quarter, in the first 3 minutes of a game, maybe, but you can't do it there. Even that, I don't like it because I don't want to give up a touchdown on the first drive because we extended a third down play. Now they got a first down. Now we put them in field goal range, and 3 plays later.
Well, if you bring it with some force,
Well,
I'm okay.
Well, but yes, if you make them slow to get up, because sometimes there's a statement hit,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We're bringing the pain train all day, Mahomes, all freaking day. We're going to take these hits all day, dude, all day. That's what I'd be saying to the guy, right?
Yes.
All right, you're going to see me all day. You can put on your Kermit the Frog voice or whatever. I'm coming for you all day, and if I can take a shot to take you out, I'm going to do it. And that's what I would tell the player. That's what I tell him. I'm coming for you. Let him think about it all day long. Even when I don't get to him, I give him a little push in the side. I told you, man, all day. All day.
That's 60s, 70s, and 80s football right there. Yeah. That's all that was. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Michael Hoyt, you touched on him. I sent that video today, because I saw that for the first time. And I didn't know if you saw that or not, so I sent it to you. Give me guys on that roster, that type of guy on my roster all day long. You have guys like that and guy after guy like that, you have a championship football team because that culture, that motor, everything about that is about your team. It brings an incredible energy and leadership to this team. And it's a shame that he's hurt because now you missed that on the field. Because if he's like that on the sideline, can you imagine him in the huddle on the field? Like, unbelievable. So I think he's on a multi-year contract.
Yes.
So, wow, that is turned out to be when I say a great signing from, wow, look at that leadership he brings and that intensity and that emotion to want to win and be there for his teammates and do whatever. Incredible by Hoyt. I wish you best of luck with the surgery and everything like that. And then I want to back up to Joey Bosa. You and I saw the play a little bit different. And I'm not saying that you're wrong on your assessment because when you watch it, yeah, I could see that as well. I had a little bit of a different assessment. But I want to go back to the play where Joey Bosa was rushing Mahomes. And either he got chipped or he got bounced to the inside. However it happened, he went to the inside. And I heard people complaining like, you didn't finish. But what he did was he felt or saw something that he didn't like. You say he dropped back in the coverage to cover the underneath there. I thought he dropped out to make sure that Mahomes couldn't double back around and run for 17 yards for the first down. Either way, maybe yours is probably more correct the way it bounced, the way it happened. But really a smart football play by Joey Bosa. Now, I do think they got the first down on that play. Did they get the first down on that play? But just from the mere fact of, I'm not saying Bosa would have got a sack. Maybe he could have knocked him off if he continued. I don't know. I think Mahomes would have probably backtracked a little bit. As Bosa came to the inside, maybe he would have went more towards the out of the hash marks and maybe found a different receiver downfield. I just thought the football IQ smarts to say, no. Maybe he felt somebody cutting across on the back end, and he said, let me drop into coverage. I just thought it was a smart football play.
So the funny thing about that play, and the funny thing when you look at the players in the league, how many guys would have said, "Ooh, I have a direct shot at the quarterback," and thinking about, remember how you were talking about the name on the back instead of would have been thinking about the stats instead of what their responsibility was, and how many guys would have gone there. And here's what happened. The right guard was doing a pull, but a high pull to give Mahomes a kind of a protection barrier. So you would have gotten blocked anyways, right? You weren't going to have that free rush, but how many guys would have just gone and now they're out of the play? To your point, now I've opened up that whole left side. the play itself, and I think it's kind of like a Reese's peanut butter cup, right? You got your chocolate and my peanut butter. I think it's a combination of both, right? I think it is the willingness to seal the edge, which we didn't see in the Baltimore game, which was bugging me. I talked about it on the podcast. You're going after the sack instead of holding contain, right? When you're holding contain, you're going up, and then you don't allow the player outside of you. You can come in, but you don't allow him outside. Bosa was taking, especially in the first couple of games, but in that Baltimore game, diagonal. He was going straight after Jackson, which then gave Jackson the outside, right? So this time he didn't do that. Smart. Second thing he did was, okay, so now I've protected Patrick from running and trying to escape, right? But oh, wait a minute. Could there be a backside receiver that is sitting over there? Let me hold on, because this is, and it happens in milliseconds. But as you're computing and you're looking, something doesn't feel right. Sniff test, right? Smell test, and then what we said early, smell test. Whoa, why did I get so free in here? And then made the play. So I think it's a combination of both of what you said, right? Not allowing Mahomes to be able to get out and run. Part of what I said doesn't feel right. Who's behind me? Because I don't have eyes behind. But then he kind of backed off. Great point.
I wanted to call that out because, yeah, it wasn't my player, but when you or a team I root for, but when you see that level of smarts, it should be called out and give the player the props for that. Yes, the play didn't go the way he wanted it, but man, he had the smarts. And to me, it just looks like, okay, as we continue to go down the season in the playoffs, man, I got a really smart defensive player right there.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's for the name on the front, not the name on the back, and so a good play. So just a couple of things that I noticed in that game that I wanted to mention. So just overall, man, you got the win.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that was good.
And if the playoffs started today,
boy, you'd see nothing but tumbleweeds rolling through where you live.
Yeah, Patrick will be sitting on the same couch as Justin Fields watching the games together. Hey, Patrick, look who's playing. Right? So, although according to Big Rich, we're about to go on a run. We're going to finish the year with a 10-game winning streak. I love that. Way to go, Big Rich. That's my dog right there.
Well, help give me some oomph for my Sabres who are losing 2-0. You're supposed to be a Sabres fan too, Rich. So show me some love. All right. Well, as and it's staring me right in the face. Please make sure you give us a like, give us a subscribe. We definitely would love that. You're always welcome to be participants, part of the show, just like Joey was here today. We saw Big Rich jump in there. We know we're not during our normal time, but definitely love to hear some feedback from you guys. Hear your opinions, especially on some of the last couple of takes. The Bosa play, right? That let us know what you think. I almost said it. Number 57's play. Let us know your thoughts there. Let us know your thoughts on, and Joey chimed in, but on what actually happened in Florham Park. I mean, it's what happened there, and I don't like it. I'm going to be 100% clear. I do not like it, but it was good. And that's why I don't like it, because it was real good. It's showing the path forward, and it's showing that the ownership has the confidence in the people that they have in place.
Man, that's a point I wanted to make, and I didn't talk about that. Outside of Woody making comments about Justin when they put the microphone in his face, he didn't go looking for it at the NFL meetings. The camera guy asked him, and unfortunately, Woody had to be Woody and just diarrhea of the mouth. But it's that point of allowing these guys to set their plan and sitting with ownership. Hey, this is what we're going to do. Hey, the trade deadline's coming. If people are going to offer us ridiculous picks for players, we're probably going to take it. And it happened, and those players got moved because the greater good is, again, to build a team for sustained winning. And you have to change a culture, a bad culture of losing and the stink that's in that locker room. And you got to get rid of that stink, and you got to bring in players that fit Aaron Glenn's mold of what he's looking for in a football team, his identity. We knew what the defense was under Saleh and his identity as a coach from a defense. Didn't play out on the offense side of the ball, right? So, again, Mougey and Aaron Glenn have to be able to shape their roster for what they're trying to build, not what other regimes built. And Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, and a little bit of Adam Gase, too, because there was a few players from Adam. So,
All right. That is going to wrap this one up. We do appreciate everybody, as I mentioned. It's just one of those things, Stevie D. We are now at the halfway point. What does that really mean? It means that this season is flying. It also means that holidays are coming around. I got to start filling out the list of what the fat man needs to be delivering, right? So we want to go through that. I'm going to put on my list to the fat man. I would like a real, not a replica, Lombardi trophy. We'll see if he comes through, because I've never asked him for that. I always thought he knew. I thought we saw eye to eye. That didn't happen. So that's what I'm putting on my list. But we'll see what comes on those lists. All right. Again, that's going to wrap this one up. We do appreciate everybody. We thank you. For my co-host, Stevie D, I'm Vince. We will talk to you soon.
So tune in tight, don't miss a